I'm Jeff Matlow. Welcome to the best leadership podcast ever. Welcome back to the best leadership podcast ever, where every week we reframe your daily behaviors to help you catapult your career. And it works. It does, honestly. My name's Jeff Matlow. I'm a 3-time entrepreneur, and I coach leadership teams, executives, and entrepreneurs. But enough about me. This isn't about me. I keep telling you that, but we keep starting with me. It's a problem. So today I want to talk about your comfort zone. And first, we got to talk about my buffoonery. You see, I got injured right as I started training for the New York City Marathon. I'm not surprised I got injured. My wife wasn't surprised. My friends weren't surprised. Nobody was surprised I got injured because it's the type of thing I do. I injure myself at the most inopportune times in the most ridiculous ways. I once tripped on the sidewalk and broke my back in 2 places. I once actually slipped off a cliff while I was mountain biking and hung on for dear life until somebody finally came by with a rope to pull me up to safety. But back to the New York City Marathon. Turns out I strained my lower leg. It was the right soleus for those of you who paid attention in physiology class. After weeks of rest and care, I still couldn't run. I couldn't get more than a few blocks without crazy, debilitating pain. Honestly, it sucked. But being unable to run never stopped me from running, and it wasn't going to stop me now. So I went to the gym. I soon discovered that I could train on the elliptical machine with little to no pain, and that was awesome. I also soon discovered that this experience on the elliptical would lead to an important life lesson that snuck up on me and clobbered me out of nowhere. More on that in a second, though. The thing about the elliptical machine is that no matter how fast you run, you end up in the same place. Regardless of the effort, despite the pain and the mental obstacles of prolonged ellipticaling, when all is said and done, you've gone absolutely nowhere. But it was my only choice. So for 4 days a week, over the next 3 months, I was on that elliptical, working hard and going absolutely nowhere. One day I even ellipticaled for 26.2 miles without rest. In the end, I made it to the New York City Marathon. I even finished the race in a better than expected time, all things considered. And this brings me to that important life lesson I mentioned before. It's a lesson about running away. See, there are 2 types of people in this world. Some people run away from their problems by packing up and leaving. Other people run away by staying in the same place. I don't know about you, but I'm not the type of person who stays in the same place when I'm unhappy. I run. That's why the elliptical experience was such an eye-opener in my life. During one of my elliptical sessions, I had a kind of epiphany. I think it was an epiphany. To be honest, I've never had one before, so I really don't know how an epiphany is supposed to feel. But let me explain what happened, and you can decide if it was an epiphany or not. Here's what I realized. Back when I was 25 years old, I made a commitment to myself that I'd only work with people I respect and only do things I'm passionate about. In order to accomplish this, I had to take control of my career. So I became an entrepreneur and I charted my own course in life. I started my first company while I was in my mid-20s. I built it, sold it, and then started a new company in a different area of passion. Now here we are, a few decades down the train tracks, and I'm wondering whether I chose a career because I was running towards something I wanted or because I wanted to run away from something I feared. As an executive coach, I naturally come across people who seem unhappy in their jobs. So I'll ask them, why are you still working here? I'm interested in their answers, not so much for the reasons why they stay in their unhappy job, but to learn how they justify their unhappiness. Some people say, I need the money and benefits. Others will say, it'll get better eventually. And then others justify, well, what if another job is worse than this one? So do any of these sound familiar to you? Have you said any of the same things yourself? See, maintaining emotional safety is a critical component of a happy life. Emotional safety grounds us. Whatever the situation, and no matter who you are, you will always eventually gravitate back to your comfort zone to feel safe. But just as the comfort zone is our emotional sanctuary, it can also be a prison cell. The more that gravity pulls you towards your comfort zone, the greater the force that's needed to escape it. This is why, if you're in an unhealthy environment, it can be really hard to run away into the unknown. Those excuses I mentioned a minute ago, the ones where people justify staying in a job they don't like, those are the words of people who have turned their comfort zone into a prison cell. They're trapped in familiarity and too petrified to leave. So let me ask you again, is that you? There are a few reasons why it's hard to leave the comfort zone when your comfort zone is riddled with pain. First, there's a fear of change. Change is hard. Change is scary. I get it. Change means running away from your comfort zone because you believe there is a better comfort zone somewhere else. But you could be wrong. And the reason fear of change exists is because we find comfort in the familiar. When you know something, when it becomes familiar, you get a sense of stability, even if the stability itself is unstable. It's that old devil you know versus the devil you don't scenario, except in this case, the devil is your emotions. We justify staying with the devil we know by convincing ourselves that the emotional cost of staying is less risky than the potential benefits of leaving. And if any of that resonates with you, then you're the type of person who runs away by staying in the same place. Welcome to your own personal epiphany. It takes a lot of courage to run away and more than a modicum of insanity. Here are 6 things it involves. Understanding what makes you happy in life, creating long-term goals to strive towards. You need to assess how your current situation is leading to those things, to making you happy and achieving your long-term goals. You need to build tools to help overcome the fear of change, like a coach or a strong support network. You need to set actionable goals and timelines, and you need to hold yourself accountable. So let me ask you, what would you do with your life if fear wasn't a factor? Are you staying in your current situation because it's easy or because it's right? And what would your life look like if you stepped out of your uncomfortable comfort zone? Running away is hard. And as I realized in my elliptical epiphany, the decision to do so isn't always black and white. You may never know if the future you risk living is better than the past you risked leaving. But you know what we call that? We call it life. Listen, I get it. Running away might sound like a cop-out, but it's not. At least not how I'm referring to it. Running away is sometimes the bravest move you can make in life. The most important part is to understand if you're already running away by going nowhere. Are you building your own prison with the bricks of comfort? Sure, the elliptical helped me run the New York City Marathon, but on the elliptical of life, you'll never make any progress. You'll simply push yourself through life and get nowhere in the end. So maybe it's time to jump off. Maybe it's time to chart a new course to a new comfort zone. Maybe it's time you became the future you that you want to be. Oh, and if you need a guide on the journey, I know a good coach you should talk to. It's your move, my friend. Keep running. Thanks for listening to this. I appreciate you. And if you're leadership coach curious, if you want to talk about getting out of your comfort zone and moving to a new one, drop me a line at leadership@bytitleonly.com. If you like this, please give it 5 stars and leave a review. It sure helps a lot. In the meantime, I look forward to talking to you next week. Have a great one, my friend. Take care.